So today we've just arrived to Dachau and we're about to go do a tour. To go do a tour, so I don't think we can record a whole lot in there, or maybe at all. We'll see. Yeah. So Daddy was telling you guys
it's haunted.
It's not haunted. If you see anything
Different,
that you need to talk about, we'll talk about it when we have a moment or when we get out. We're not going to be disrespectful. We're not going to be jumping around and dancing and running and screaming and yelling. We're going to be quiet and we're going to listen and we're going to be patient, right?
And listen to the Holy Spirit, because He'll guide you.
Yeah, you can sing Child of God in your head or say a prayer if it gets too heavy or too sad. All right.
I feel like this is haunted because like people died here because of the smoke and shit. No, boy.
Oh,
it might be a little haunted. We'll see.
All right.
So we're gonna send Makai on the tour because the little kids can't go. So we're gonna go walk around and read all the plaques. So these wet, soggy maps are pretty much how our visit's going, unfortunately, and not for educational reasons. Alright, so Makai ended up going on the tour, and the little kids can't do anything. They can't listen to the audio, they can't watch the film, they can't go in the museum, they can't...
We can go into the church, that's the only thing...
So a little bit, we were going to split up, Robert and I, and each see the film, but the ladies told me the opposite direction of the camp. I was super specific, and so I missed it. So there's only one left in English. There's a billion kids running around laughing and joking, teenage kids. It's frustrating, really frustrating, and it's pouring rain, so it's just kind of miserable. We're all wet and just not really getting anything out of it. So we're gonna go try and reboot and get something out of this last hour or so before they close.
The tour was nice. We saw like all the bits of the camp and everything. Saw the barracks, where they cremated the bodies, where they hung them. We saw where they stood. We saw went in the museum a bit. Watched one of the videos. Looked around there for a while.
Did you learn more, or you knew a lot of it?
I knew a decent amount of it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know more of like the living situation, and like what the camp was like. So that was cool to go and learn about that, see it for yourself.
It's crazy to actually stand there and imagine it, huh?
Yeah. It's more like concrete, like concreting the stuff I know.
Yeah. What?
First word, interesting.
Yeah. What was like? Did you have any feelings? Like, what was the like hardest part to actually see in person?
I took it pretty well.
You took it pretty
I
well.
was just more curious than anything.
Yeah. How was the cremation area?
It was alright. Walked into the gas chamber. You get to walk. You can actually like walk through them and all that. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
But you can still kind of like feel. It's like a low mood in there. You can feel it when you walk in.
Like heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even the air, like, just when you walk in the building, the air gets kind of like the air is musty still somehow. Even though the doors are all wide open and everything, it's weird.
Yeah. It's like kind of dark in the ceiling, like especially the little you get the first gas chamber part because it said they had them take off their clothes,
Like
right?
all like the brick area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the actual gas chamber.
And then you go through the one little part, and it's like mad low,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're like little tunnel hallway things and hooks. And then they had the room at the other end where they just piled them all in there. You saw that in the movie, but you can see the actual room. Drains on the floor, and there's a bunch of dead, naked bodies in there.
Bodies everywhere. Yeah, the video.
It's horrible.
One of the Marines who liberated the camp had their own camera, so they recorded bits of it, bits of World War II and all that. So, got to see that.
We took the girls through the barracks, and they're like stopped. I'm like, okay, you guys know how cold you are right now and wet.
Yeah, basically.
And they're like, yeah, it's horrible, right? And
We're
then
walking
they're
out.
like, Taven's like, wait, I have a coat on and a sweatshirt
Yeah.
and my boots. And when you look at that picture, and they have these thin little work outfits on.
They had thin, I don't know
Like-
what show it was, and they had basically like cogs, little metal, like little wood shoes.
Wood shoes. And then they weren't
Yeah.
allowed to wear them in the barracks.
And they didn't
And they
have
couldn't heat the
socks.
barracks up. So they were barefoot.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good thing that they have this open
Oh, yeah.
and you come and see it? How come?
Because just like this is something that needs to be, learned about and not just like ignored and put to the side.
Yeah,
It's a big part of history. Probably one of the biggest parts of history.
Horrific that those people had to go through that. And they said so many of them died even after it was liberated because how
they're
do
just
you...
house starved.
And they're so
They couldn't
starved.
even eat normal food.
And mentally,
Yeah.
how do you come to terms with what you just went through and saw and experienced,
Yeah. Like they're so starved that when they got liberated, they couldn't actually eat normal food. Because if they did, they just die because of how
Their stomach
unused
couldn't
to
handle it.
Yeah, their
Yeah.
body was.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah,
Jinx.
I know, right? Yeah, I think it's good, though, to remember. I'm a little frustrated we couldn't really show the girls that much, though.
No.
How was the museum? Was it really, like, would have been that bad for the girls to walk through it?
No, that's what I'm saying. I was
That's why
talking
I'm
to
so
those people,
confused.
I'm like, it really wasn't. The only thing that might have really shook them was the video from the Marine, where it's just like stacks of bodies.
Yeah.
It's like, walking around.
I
recording them and
understand
all
that.
But, I mean, you could easily bypass that.
I think
But
we should have just
They
ignored.
showed the original door
Mm-hmm.
with the sign on it because someone stole it in 2014, and they got it back in 2015. So they went ahead and remade the new one for the 7th anniversary, and then just put the original one in the case in the museum. You got to see like their lockers, what they'd wear, and the shaving stuff they used. Got to see the actual showering room, like when you first get in there. Got to see the registration area. You got to see basically, everything. It's everything. It's nice.
Crap. I'm like, why didn't we just walk through it? That's so annoying. And I know the girls are done, but I kind of want to just make them go walk through it. All right. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That's good. I know you've been interested in World War II for a while, so it's kind of cool that you got to see him stand here in person. Yeah. All right. that was rough. Makai had a good experience, so that's good. I know he's really interested and has been for a long time. It was still a good experience to actually just physically stand in that location and be in that location and feel it, especially, I agree, the cremation chamber and everything. It's horrible, but you can definitely feel a different feeling there. That it just feels heavy and sad. I think though, between the movie last night and then the experience there today, more than anything, sorry, there's like weird card sounds, but I don't know how to stop them and I'm too cold to turn the car off and Kingston's asleep. This is, I know we probably look like total spoiled brats being annoyed that we couldn't take them to Star Wars, and me being annoyed today that we couldn't take the kids on the tour. You know, we just came all the way and then we drove 5 hours from where we're staying, like specifically to take them to Dachau. And as a world schooler, we want them to have that experience and to learn and to actually feel and be able to experience and take in and really understand the magnitude and the seriousness. And I guess it was our first little experience of government. It's like a different government level of control than we're used to. You know things, but until you experience it yourself and feel it, you don't really maybe give it as much thought, or really, you just don't feel it. And so not being able to have the choice as a parent, if I want to, how I want to school my kids or where I want to school my kids, I always thought, man, that sucks. It's illegal there. Like, homeschooling's illegal there. Like, that's kind of lame. But it didn't, directly affect me. Not being able to take my kids to a movie I choose to take them to. I mean, I know it's Star Wars, but it's Disney now, and not being able to choose that. It was frustrating and like, wait, what do you mean I can't choose that? They're my kids. I should be able to choose what they see and what they don't. And then today, I think we actually kind of got some bum information. So if you go to Dachau with younger kids, you can take them through the museum. It's just suggested that you don't if they're under 12. Makai went through it. So like, because of that though, we didn't take them through. And so Makai's the only one that actually went through the museum. And then he's telling us all the different things he saw in there and the work uniforms and all the things that would have schooled our kids and that would have actually taught them things. And he's like, I don't understand what was in there that would have been bad. He's like, towards the end, there was a few pictures like of the piles of bodies, but they have actually seen that when we were doing research on World War II and everything and things that we've seen in school at home growing up, And so really frustrating that we really didn't get the full experience and that I didn't get to provide for them the education and the educational experience that I chose to have them have. Took the time to drive here was to give our kids that experience, and we just don't get to. So they did get to walk around a little bit and see the perimeter and to walk in where the barracks used to be, and then we got to walk through the barracks at the end. Yeah, it's a little frustrating, and then I think about the people that live here, and this is mild compared to other countries where it's very strict. But then it also makes me think, people in the U.S., like, we just take for granted all the freedom we really do have, or we know that we have freedom, but we don't understand what that actually entails. Yeah, I think about people getting upset or freaking out over little laws that are trying to get passed. And they're like, no, why would you can't pass that law. That's going to be a snowball. And before you know it, the government will have control of our lives. And I've always just kind of like, okay, but no, like, I don't want the government to have control of my life. I want to choose what movies I let my kids see. And I want to choose how I educate them. And I want to choose what museums they can go into. Like, I don't want someone deciding that for me. I am completely fine, the movie, okay, actual footage of all the bodies and everything, that might be too much, especially I knew it'd be too much for Av, so we had already chose that we wouldn't take her through that. But Makai went through the whole tour and got a ton of information, and he said, yeah, I don't understand what they would have missed out on. It would have been great for them, obviously above Kingston's head. And he said, but his tour guide, he thought Av would have understood and they would have learned so much. So it's just, yeah, it's such a loss. I'm sad. I'm really frustrated and sad. So that's how our day went. Now they're in there. I'll show you. Ordering some McDonald's. We've kind of ended up experiencing McDonald's once in each country I think we've been in. Maybe not Wales. Anyways. Maybe once in the UK overall. Did we go in Ireland? Anyways, I don't know. Some kind of American fast food at least one time. It's kind of fun to compare and have a little familiarity, and they just, yeah. Do you think we can have a change of scenery after Dachau if it's sad? And they just want a McDonald's, so that's where we're at. I'm out here with Kingston. I'm still trying to get dry and warm, and figured I'd talk to you guys for a minute while it was fresh. And yeah, I don't want the government controlling my parental choices or any of my choices. Yeah. Thanks for sticking in, even for the rough patches. This is real life. This isn't a big fairy tale. Everything's tra-la-la. You know what I mean? Just doing like super fun stuff and everything works out fabulously. No. It's a ton of research. Even Wally was a little frustrated this time because he was like, I'm going to help you and I'm going to do more of the research this time. And so he read up on it and read reviews, and he was under the impression that they couldn't see the film, but they could go in the museum. And then the lady was just so staunch about it and just so like, no, they can't. You don't take them in there. And so we just didn't, even though the sign later said it was advised and that, so basically you could. But anyways, it's kind of frustrating when you do your research and then it all just doesn't pan out, but that's real life. So yeah, that's it for now. We're in Germany. Not my very favorite place, but that's okay. We'll learn. I'm learning to be more grateful for the freedoms that I have grown up with, and some of them that I took for granted. So anyways, have a good night, day, wherever you're at. Go Kingston! Woo! Woo! Yeah, buddy.
But yeah, we just thought start with The Last Jedi. And Daddy's not here because Kingston can't go. He has to be 6 with the parents.
That's right.
I think Dad will really like it.
I think so too. Wow, Evelyn. Okay.
Edit that one
Oh
out.
my gosh. Ow.
And wasn't she talking about something?
Who stinks?